Hello folks, and we've got quite a lot to cover tonight. There's quite a few bits and pieces to have a look at, and first we'll be what's on the other side of that. Okay, so first up tonight, the star of the show, shall we say. What do you think of that? Sekonda 50 metres diver's watch on a solid stainless steel fitted bracelet. Signed clasp. Okay, like this is called by Sekonda Midnight Blue. It's a fully what's it? One-way clickable. Oh bloody hell! Like, you know, bezel. Got no back slop at all. Very good in that regard. Let's just get it round. There you go, that's it done. It has got very good lume. You just give me a second. Let's get it charged up. I don't think it's that old. As you can see, it's very good quality lume. It's a Miyota 2115 Japanese movement. Even though like they're very good, they're cheap as chips movements, but that's what Sekonda made their money on. It's got like a, that's what you call a lobster bracelet. Oh, look at that. Now, I quite like that, and I paid, you know, quite a bit less than its RRP. This was £49 RRP from Argos and places like that. Well, I paid a lot less than that for a watch that, give it a big quick wipe over with a Haggerty cloth and whatnot, or, you know, it looks like it's brand new. Oh, there you go. It's a Sekonda 03745. Look at that beautiful blue. Be nice to know if they did a gold version of that. I reckon that looks really nice in gold. As you can see, it's a very shapely looking watch. So, on to the next one. Okay. Just making it look presentable. Here we go, the Pulsar VD57 chronograph. It's on a fitted beads of rice bracelet. It's got a signed clasp. Hasn't got a signed crown. Full chronograph, slow seconds. The bottom dial is your chronograph second hands. The top dial is your split, but the split isn't working. I suspect the coil's gone on it. I paid a few quid for this. Like, this is a Pulsar, this is a Seiko. You know, if you look, should get some movement. No, it should be that one. There she goes. The 9 o'clock register is for minutes. Get 60 minutes, then it resets. Top button to stop, bottom button to... Oh. There we go. It's a bit cold tonight and the watches are being a bit temperamental. It's got a clicky bezel. The bezel itself is very abraded, which is the only thing that really lets itself down. It does have good loom. Not as good as Sekonda, but you know, don't forget this is Seiko, which we're using super luminova. Look at that. But I think the Sekonda's better only because it's newer. You know. I think that's quite a nice looking piece, that. You know, it's another chronograph, it's another Seiko, you know, albeit, you know, I don't know why people, like, you know, they go, but it's not a Seiko because it's got a Pulsar on it, made by the same company in the same factories. They use the same movements. The only difference is the dial says Seiko on some, it says Loris on others, it says Pulsar on others, and Albert on even others. And there you go. So, you know, but under the hood, I mean, you know, the engine is still the same. It's still a Seiko, what's it, a VD57 chronograph, as opposed to, what's it, a V657, sorry, I must have said VD57 earlier. It's a V657, right, because Pulsar uses a slightly different numbering system, but, you know, it is a VD57 chronograph. Yeah, you know, I quite like it. Like, you know, if I can't find a bezel, I'm going to attempt to paint it, because, like, you know, that is pretty, like, you know, it's a nice bezel. It's got a nice kind of semi-turbine look to it. I like, you know, and I'm going to get around and I'll oil fill the numerals and the things, like, you know, to make it look like, you know, as it originally was. But, you know, okay, so like the top register's coil is probably gone, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And I do have some spare SII movements, so I can harvest the coil from those when I get around to it. So we'll go on to there next. So it's like quartz chronograph night tonight. I did show this briefly before. Look at that. Accurist OS60. Myosa chronograph. This is the bracelet I bought for it, and as you can see, it matches it perfectly. Look how good that now looks. This is quite an involved chronograph. You press this button where my finger is. No, that's not right. What if I pressed wrong? Oh, so I've got it upside down. That's bloody right. Right. You press that button there. Push that second hand. Second hand goes to 12. That activates it. What does that one? No, that one activates it. Sorry. As you can see, it's got splits, seconds, and minutes and hour. That stops it, resets it, press it again, stops it, resets it, and then when you're finished, you just press this bottom button here, and it goes back to timekeeping mode. I mean, how cool is that? That is bloody brilliant, isn't it? See, the whole point of watch collecting isn't so much like, you know, just the watch head. I get a lot of pieces that don't have bracelets. There you go. And it's finding the right bracelet for a watch. And I think that really does the job. Now you think, when I got this, a few quid's worth of like battered up like Accurist Chronograph, and I mean, look at it now, it gleams, it glows, it works, it's clean, you know, the gold is nice, the silver titanium look is nice, you know. And like, you know, I've turned this Watch's fortunes around from being a pile of crap into something pretty cool. Right, we'll go on to the next one. So, keeping it in the quartz theme, 2 of the Soviet quartz pieces turned up today. Gilly, get down. Sorry. 2 of the quartz pieces turned up. I've still got 2 more to come, and a 3rd one as well. Right. Oh, the back's hanging off of this one, so I haven't put it back together properly. This is in lovely condition. What's happened is the 2 little gold wires inside from the stepper motor to the circuit board have snapped off, and they need either resoldering down, which I haven't got the equipment to do, or using gold filled glue to hold them in place. Now this one's a bit weird. As you can see, the second hand is working. When it gets around to focusing, you get but that's all it's doing, like, you know, it's just a second hand. But that tells me that the circuit board is working, the stepper motor's working, you know, all the stuff is basically it's the hour, it's the pinion that drives the hour and minutes wheel that's gone. So now this one's in much better condition on the case and the bracelet and the crystal. So I will probably be transplanting this onto my good working one, and then I'll either, like, you know, like, try and find out what's wrong with it. If I can't, then I will break it for spares for the other pieces. Now it's useful, like, you know, because like this has got the same movement inside, so the stepper motor from that will go in straight into that, and that'll be a fix. So, you know, there you go. That's a Chaika 3050 Soviet quartz, and this is what they call a Slava tank. Excuse me a minute. A Slava tank quartz. As you can see, it is built like a tank. You know, solid watch. I haven't sized these for me, so there's no point. Like, you know, this means that my other one will be in absolutely perfect condition, which will please me, because these in very good condition are worth upwards from £100. You know, I am quite pleased with that. And if you look at this, I don't know if you can see it, this has actually got a reverse faceting on the inside of the glass. It's actually got like a little 8 faceted panels to give it a faceted look, sort of thing. It's very nice. So we won't bother pausing it. We'll stick with the Soviets. And if I've shown this before, I will show it again. Look how clean that's come up. That's with that Haggerty cloth. There's a little ding on the clasp, but that I don't really care about. This is keeping absolutely astonishingly good time. Alright, you know, I've just noticed, yeah, 17 on the clock. Alright, you know, and I've kept it wound up for, like, you know, a good 3 or 4 days. I mean, the wine's a bit stiggy. You know, I think I need to, like, lubricate the click. And if you look on the reverse, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Can you see there's an inscription from 1989 written just there, like, you know, it's very difficult to get these inscriptions. So this watch was given with love to somebody at some point. You know, just try and get that so you can actually get to see what somebody probably put. There you go, look at that. That's upside down probably as well, but you know, you getting to see it. Turn your heads upside down, like, you know. I like this. This is a top loader. That means that the movement comes out through this. There's a bezel that clicks on. You take the bezel off, and the movement comes out once you've taken the stem out from the other side. Makes them very, very secure, and it means that they can close the foot pedal down. This watch, I mean, you know, this is a 1989 Poljot, you know, and it's in astonishingly good condition, and I love it. And I didn't pay a lot for it either. You know, I'm very pleased with that. It's a very pleasant watch. Good old Soviet mechanical. There you go. A watch from the 80s, no less. Right, we shall take this to the up view and we'll talk some more right there. So, we have a guest star on tonight. Say hello, Gilly. Hello, Gilly. You know, he's hovering over me, waiting for his nighttime cuddle. You know, there's a nice gratuitous shot of the Sekonda. You know, I am running out of Soviet pieces to find. I mean, I've got a Rakita quartz coming. Gilly, no. I've got a Rakita quartz coming and a couple of other things. You know, Gilly, no. Be told. And like I've still got two other. I've got another one of these coming and something else Soviet quartz. There's maybe a Chaika. But I do like that Sekonda. Now, you know, like, I'm going to talk about Watchuseek forums, right? Because I'm a bit pissed off. It seems that every so often, like, you know, I am nothing but polite, conscientious, like appreciative and whatever else. Like, you know, I talk to people as equals. Like, you know, I admire people's skills and, like, you know, and whatever, like, you know. And it just seems that, like, these last few weeks there's been a couple of people that thought, oh yeah, let's have a dig at him, sort of thing, like, you know. And, like, you know, I was called illiterate earlier, like, you know, because I was talking about Sekondas and where Sekondas came from, and like I said, that there was a lot of people in Britain that believed that Sekonda, like, you know, was a totally British entity, simply because of the Cold War and because of the anti-Russian sentiment, like, you know, from the Cold War. People didn't exactly play up the fact that, you know, this was made in the Soviets. So what they did was they stuck Sekonda on it, and they said, oh yeah, like, you know, designed in Britain. It wasn't. It was designed in Russia, but it was touted as, you know, it's kind of like a pseudo-British product. You know, and this bloke's had a right old pop at me, calling me a little, oh yeah, why didn't you look at the bloody catalogues? So I had a right pop back, and I turned around and said, well, most of these Sekonda branded things, like from the, you know, from that era, they weren't all sold in jewellers like Ratner's or Hatton Garden or something, like, you know, they were sold down the market, right? You know, the last thing, you know, the market trader, say he's, like, you know, in some South London like market, or say like East Street or something, last thing he's going to turn around and say is, here darling, you want to buy this is a lovely old Soviet watch piece. You know the Soviets, they're the ones that drop nuclear bombs on you. People wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, like, you know. So of course they didn't say anything at very best, or at very worst they hinted or lied that they were British design, British built, whatever, like, you know. You know, it's the way they made money. And of course there are people out there today who believe that Sekonda is a totally British thing. But it is and it isn't, like, you know, because the fact is that they couldn't sell these watches in Britain if they were just called Poljot and Slava and Vostok and all the rest of it, like, you know. So they stuck Sekonda on it, which made it sounded a bit German, like, you know, a little bit trendy, a little bit, like, you know. And they just let people make their own minds up. And at the time, the only competition really for Sekonda, like, you know, the old Russian ones, was Timex. And, you know, Timex Britain was self-destructing through like continual strikes, quality control issues, and, like, you know, I mean, the 70 Timexes made in Dundee were dreadful. They really were dreadful. Like, you know, so I mean, and then this bloke's had a right pop at me. He's turned around and said, "Oh, you're illiterate." Like, you know, like, here's me, like, I could read from the age of 3, like, you know, and I mean, I was reading Lord of the Rings by last time, age 6. Like, you know, if I tell him about it, if I met him in the streets, like, I'd bloody, like, beat him to death with a rolled up copy of, like, I don't know, like, Lord of the Rings or something, like, you know, stupid prick. You know, my mother, like, you know, as people would know, like, you know, she was quite, you know, a well-known journalist that helped the Independent get founded. You know, she was the editor of the Royal Wedding Supplement. She was editor of a few other things, like, you know, she was deputy editor when the news editor was off sick, like, you know, this is before the Murdoch takeover, like, you know, at the Times. Sometimes she, like, you know, jobbed as deputy editor at the Sunday Times. I mean, you know, she taught me to read and write, like, before I went to school, like, you know, and, like, I'm sorry, but I am not bloody illiterate, and I'll tell you what, I really, really resent that. So, you know, like, if you want to have a word with a geezer, like, you just go and have a look in the Russian F10 forums, like, you know, right, and just pick it up. There's a bloke asking about, like, a not dissimilar Sekonda to this, like, you know, and this bloke's had a right dig at me. He can go fuck himself as far as I'm concerned. Like, you know, I don't put up with that sort of behaviour. I'm polite and calm with everybody, and I expect the same back. Gilly, be told. Except Gilly, because Gilly's just been a naughty boy. Look, got the ump now. You got the ump, girls. So, you know, well, I mean, the last time was like, you know, I asked a question about watch hand sizes for certain iotas, because the way the sizes were on these technical drawings wasn't apparent to me. Like, you know, I'm not a watchsmith. Like, you know, I have no ideas, like, you know, where these certain things are. Hey, this other geezer, he's had a bloody go at me there as well. Like, you know, Gilly, be told. No. I said, like, you know, this isn't a watchmaker's part of Watchuseek. And, like, you know, and I said to him, like, you know, what the hell? Like, this is a perfectly viable watchmaker's question, and you're popping off at me, like, you know. So, like, you know, I tore him to shreds, like, you know, just using words, like, you know, and apparently he left. So, I asked the moderators to intervene, because he was a very rude German bloke, he was. Like, you know, absolutely rude as heck. And I thought, well, why? You know, there's no need. If you can't, you know, if you can't say something politely, then don't say it, as far as I'm concerned. There's my rant, like, you know, and as you can see, like, I've got Gilly tonight, who's just being a big baby woo, isn't ya? Hey, what are you doing? And just remember, this cat is the size of a small dog. I mean, he's about twice the size of all the other cats, like, you know, and he is absolutely heavy as heck. Like, and, he's a real bruiser, isn't ya? He's no longer the alpha, I think. That's the problem, because when I came back from hospital, and that's it. I mean, you know, it was 5 weeks without me, and he just went to pieces. Like, I mean, he really did just fall to pieces. He stopped washing himself. He hardly ate. Like, you know, he just kept coming in looking for me, couldn't find me. Right. And then the day I came back, the ambulance, like, you know, pulled up round, like, our little, like, bit roundabout, like, you know, and he was sat there, and he was all happy and proud and erect, and, like, he came running up to me, threw himself into my arms, like, pretty much like he's doing now, like, you know, and he just wouldn't let me out of his eyesight for the first 2 days. It really, really affected him, me going into hospital. Real shame that was. Wasn't it, boy? Eh? You know, I was Shana being there all the time, like, you know, there was only so much he could do for the cat. But, you know, it kind of shook his confidence. He just stopped going out so much. He just goes out, does his business, like, you know, and he comes in and he just sleeps around the place, don't you, boy? He gets cuddles, he has one good cuddle a day, and that's his lot, like, you know. Yeah, he's a good cat. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Like, you know, I'm just a bit miffed that, you know, like, you know, people are just being so offensive at the moment, and there's no need for it. Really isn't. Like, you know, we're supposed to be getting on this human race together, and of course there's, like, you know, people popping off calling you, like, you know, quite offensive names, like, you know, I mean, what is it they want? Like, you know, for me to, like, fall about going, oh my god, you're right, I am so illiterate, or something like that, you know. I mean, I may talk like a backstreet South London boy and stuff like that, but I can tell you this, like, you know, I read every day. Whether it's something I read online, if it's something I read on my tablet, or if I read one of my books, I read all the time. And I don't just read fantasy, I read the classics, I read the ancient classics. You know, I mean, I love reading things like Homer, you know, the whole thing about Odysseus, and I mean, when I was at school, like, you know, my classical studies, I was scoring A+ all the time because I was absolutely shit hot about the ancient Greeks and stuff. You know, like the grey A and all that. You know, I was watching a film the other day, like, you know, they had the grey A in there, like, you know, but they didn't call them that, they called them something else, like, you know, but the grey A was like the three witches that had like one eye, one tooth and one ear, right, you know, and they could only hear or speak, they could only have one in at each time, so that means that only one could eat, like, you know, one could eat, like, you know, see, and one could, like, you know, hear. There you go, it's Grae. There we go. It was a bit complicated word, that one. So look it up, like, you know. I'm going to have to go and sort this boy out because he's just being a what's it. And I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.